Welcome back to Race Report, Scandal Edition. This week, Julia has returned from her exile in Europe, and we could not be more grateful for it.
In other breaking news, if you're living under a rock or you just haven't been checking your social media, you should
Good
know
for
by
you.
now.
Yeah, good. Protect your peace.
Logan Sargent has officially been dropped from Williams' F1 racing team. I think important that we start the pod off and really dive into that first.
Yes. So we have all had lots of chats about this in not only our texting group chat, but our Instagram group chat too.
Some might or might not have taken place at the same time in two different forums.
Popped off yesterday when I was sitting at the Sonic drive-in. Anyways, so we have tried to not isolate, compact all of our thoughts and feelings. Otherwise, this would be a whole episode on Logan leaving Williams. So my brief points that I have to say about it is the management at Williams is an absolute mess. You've had the whole season, you can kind of tell that they weren't thinking that Logan was going to be there the whole time. It was like basically he got the second chance and was on trial the whole season is what it felt like. And James Vowles a couple weeks ago said based off in his performances, how his future is going to be, kind of leaving it open for the season. The fact that they made this decision now, right before Monza, is a bit ridiculous because you had a whole 3 weeks off where there's been so much. What made this the last straw? I feel like there were a lot of last straws before this, if that's how they're playing the game. So then you would have had more time to maybe find someone different. I don't know if they would have been able to anyways, but still, you had time to let him know and not drag him along and string him along through this whole summer break, come back, race, and be like, never mind, you're fired. So I felt like that was kind of really crappy. It was also stupid for them to sign another rookie, but I get that that was probably the only person that they could get to replace him in the seat. But at the same time, it's who's to say that, Franco is a good driver, but he's 6th or 7th in the F2 standings right now, and it's his first ever season in F2 as well. So it's not, again, it's he's going to step up and suddenly be amazing. I don't get that either. Yeah, I think it was just all based down to money, and I get it from a business decision. As someone with a business degree, I would have made the same decision. I would have sacked him because he's losing the team so much money. And I personally don't even think I would have given him another chance this year. As much as I love Logan Sargent from that business point of view of he's just losing the team money. He's great for marketing though, but I just wish they hadn't have strung him along for so long, because you could tell they had been wanting to fire him, but waiting for what they thought was a good enough reason. And I'm if you want to and you knew you're going to, just do it earlier. It's better for everyone. But yeah, that's just sadly how sports goes. As much as we all love Logan and hate to see him go, I feel like F1 never was really the place for him to be and thrive, and you could tell that he had been unhappy there this year and stuff. So I really hope that he finds the series that is right for him. But yeah, that's my compacted feelings. I have a lot more, but I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Cutthroat over here.
I wish we had all the time in the I could talk about this and get so psychological about it for hours.
Yeah, literally.
But I don't think anyone's prepared to listen to a 4-hour race report episode yet. I wholeheartedly agree with Lauren on how messy this has all been, how wishy-washy Williams has been. We're dropping him. No, we're not. We believe in him. We wouldn't have given him the seat this year if we weren't going to let him ride it out. It all just feels like you don't even know what you're saying at this point. You guys have no idea what you want to do or don't want to do. And I had sent the girls something earlier today, and it's literally a video from Logan leaving Zandvoort and fans asking him to sign hats and stuff. And he looks, one, so upset. So I think in that moment he already knew what was happening and had already been told. And two, literally takes the hat off of his own head to give away to a fan, which I think is really sweet, but is hurts so bad. Kind of speaking to what Lauren said about the poor planning and like your solution is to get rid of him and replace him with a rookie. I think they ended up stuck with Colapinto, and not stuck, but they needed to submit a decision probably before this race weekend was underway. Because I'm assuming they have to have all that registration like finalized with the track and with F1 before the weekend starts. So it was a rushed or rash decision. My bet is that they wanted Mick, Stoffel Van Dorn, or Liam Lawson. But if you know anything about those drivers, Mick is contracted out to Alpine, Stoffel is with Aston Martin, and Liam is a Red Bull driver. So in order to have gotten any of them, they would have had to be able to close a deal with those teams who own those drivers. And with the short amount of time, there probably wasn't enough to get that paperwork finalized. But again, going back to the whole rookie concept, you brought, and everyone has said this and agreed that Logan was brought into F1 too early. That maybe if Logan had raced in F2 again last year and was brought in as a rookie this year, he would have had better chances. Why are we then doing the same thing again? Why are we replacing someone who was brought in too soon with a driver who hasn't even finished their season in F2? Either way, that car, that second Williams car, is not a points scoring car, especially when your first car that Albon's driving is barely a points scoring car. Like, we could just give Logan that grace to finish out the season in like a professional manner instead of shaming him kind of like that's what it feels like, is like, that kid sucks, look at him, fire him, get rid of him, and make him look bad in public, when if you're not going to score points anyway, just like let him drive the stupid car and finish the season peacefully. I get the business decision, whatever. I just really hope that this doesn't fully destroy him as a person, because I think the biggest mistake would be if Logan stops driving altogether. And I know that we've been saying it all year long. I hope we see him in IndyCar or even maybe NASCAR. I joked with Lauren. I said, I will pay money to watch this man crash. I do not care. As someone who's like actually gotten the chance to meet him, even though it was so briefly, he is so kind and so polite. And when my friend and I, we met him and Albon at the car launch this year, he introduced himself and said, "Hi, I'm Logan," because he doesn't even think highly enough of himself that people would be there to see him. Like, we know who you are. So I wish him the best, and I'll stay a Logan fan moving forward. Absolutely.
I have many thoughts and feelings, and none of them are positive regarding Williams, but I'll try to keep it PG. I truly believe Williams has screwed the pooch in this situation, because sort of more to Lauren and Julia's point, they're repeating history and acting like they're going to get a different outcome. This is also wildly unfair to Franco, who can now never go back to F2, and he's just going to, join the circle of thrown away F2 drivers in the hopes that maybe some glimmer of hope he'll get picked up by a team, because the Williams seat is filled. There's no way he's going to get contracted in for a seat. And now if I was him, I would have just been like, sorry, hope y'all can get someone else, but it won't be me. But again, they don't pay me to drive or chat, but here we are. And it just feels very icky, feels like the only word to describe it. With how they've handled the whole scenario and announcing Franco would be the replacement driver before announcing that Logan was departing the team, the sort of whole media storm that's come around it, and not making a decision when it almost felt like they give with one hand and take away with the other. They gave Logan the seat, but it was almost like, you should be grateful for everything we do, and you're still not performing well. And it sort of calls into question, like, it's hard to have confidence in yourself when no one else around you has confidence in you. And so did that play a part into his, maybe not stellar performance throughout the races? I don't know. I just think that how they've handled everything, they should have let him finish out the season because I mean he placed P11 not even what 2 races ago, so he has that potential. I don't think any of us are sitting here saying that he's going to win the world championship this year, but he had enough merit to at least make it into F1. He placed fairly well in a Williams, which says a lot. If he had had the rest of the season to perform, could he have finally like found his sea legs and maybe actually held sort of par with Albon, which we'll never get to know now because William has so unceremoniously kicked him to the curb. I, like Julia said, I hope this is not sort of, he's been beaten down so much he doesn't want to race anymore. I hope he sort of finds a home in the other 2 series. And it really sort of sucks from not only a marketing standpoint, but also a fan standpoint to see someone who we've all collectively cheered for and rooted for just sort of thrown out with yesterday's trash, which really hurts for us. But I have faith in him that he will, perform well elsewhere. We joked that in Kaylee's world, everything is perfect. So Logan would have finished out the season, done great, and then, gotten signed to a higher car because he just wowed everyone. And then he would have eventually become a world champion. Is that a bit delusional? Maybe, but that's how I thrive. I have hope for him, and I think if he continues, he can actually, he will do well. Not that he can do well, but that he will. So yeah. Sorry, Logan. We miss you.
Justice for Logan.
Justice for Logan. It also sort of felt like it was almost, I hate to say it, but it felt like because he was American, that almost became a sticking point. It was like, oh, look at the American who can't drive. And I'm like, no.
F1 hates Americans. Let Andretti in.
But they want our money so bad.
Yes, they want our market. And Liberty Media is an American company.
It's like we're a dirty whore. They just want to pay us. They want to pay us for our services, but they definitely don't want to bring us to family dinner.
That's all I want. That'll make me forgive them for everything if they let Andretti.
No, I will never forgive them for what they did to Logie Bear. Dead to me.
But that wasn't the F1 entity. That was Williams Racing specifically.
True. You're right. Okay. Williams, dead to me.
As a girl who has 3 to 4 different pieces of Williams merch, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to wear them again.
We will wear them for Carlos Sainz.
But it's for Carlos and Albon.
Ugh, but I'm so mad at them.
I'm separating the drivers from the management of the team because those are my second and third favorite drivers.
It's just such a contrast between last year where we were like, is Logan going to get re-signed? And then James Vowell comes out with, we're a family. We love Logan. We support Logan. Of course he's welcome back. And now he's like, done with him. Bye. The James Vowells of this season and the James Vowells of last season, 2 different people. Walk on opposite sides of the street.
I need Logan Sargent to collab with Logan Paul to drop a diss track against James Vowells.
The poor kid had to go into the team already knowing that he wasn't going to be the favorite child.
Yeah.
And then he was basically like an animal returned to the pet store.
Resurrendered back to the pound. It's like you had issues when you brought home a puppy and returned it because it was doing puppy things, and then was like, well, I'll go out and buy a new puppy because clearly they'll be different.
Literally.
Franco, I wish you luck because you're gonna need it, baby.
And I also wish the Williams team luck because if they screw over Franco, he's Argentinian and we know how those fans be.
I'm just gonna comment thumbs down emoji on every single post.
At James Vowell. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Guys, if you didn't know, for those watching, listening, that's my thing. When someone makes me mad, thumbs down.
Willpower flips the bird, Kaylee.
Thumbs down.
Moving on from all the drama over at Williams, we are back, baby. F1 has returned. This past week, we had the race in the Netherlands.
We did, and I went into this weekend fully backing Max. I was like, he hasn't won since Spain. It's his home race. Man's gonna win. I was wrong. I'm not mad that I was wrong because, I'm not like a big Max fan, but I was like kind of hoping he would win because he hasn't won in so long. I don't really know. So I was convinced that he was going to win, though. With typical Europe summer weather, there was some mixed conditions in some of the free practice sessions, and poor Logie Pear sealed his fate with his crash in FP3. It was quite a bad crash. It was really mangled up, and he was on fire. So that wasn't good. But thankfully he was okay. He got out of the car. Do you have something to say, Kaylee?
I was going to make a not so very nice comment about the mechanics. And while Logan was on fire, trying to escape from his car, which turned into a fiery inferno, the mechanics are going, I'm like, this man almost died. He could have died. And you're over here rolling your eyes. Not 1 ounce of concern. I know he doesn't have the best track record with returning equipment in the condition he received it in, but Lord help. Gosh, y'all are preying on his downfall more than James Val himself.
I could just see your face wanting to say something.
I was trying to roll it back in. I was like, Kaylee, the time has passed. The time has passed, Kaylee. Roll it back. We've moved on.
We haven't. We won't.
It bubbles up in me, guys. I'm sorry.
So we're going to be stuck on this the whole podcast. So the car was so mangled up, and it was FP3, so they obviously weren't able to get it fixed in time for qualifying. And then in qualifying, the other Williams car of Alex Albon did a great job and got P8, and then afterwards he got disqualified for an illegal floor, and I felt bad for the kid because I was like, finally we get another good Williams qualifying. Never mind, a rip. So so they brought upgrades that were illegal, so that was fun. So they basically both started at the back of the grid. K-Mag qualified 13th, but he had to start from the pit lane due to changing his power unit. And then Lewis got an unfair 3-place grid penalty for quote-unquote impeding Checo, which he did nothing of the fact. He was actively trying to get out of the way. But, what are you going to say? They don't like Lewis over at the FIA, so...
Let's be honest. A fly couldn't impede Checo. That man is so far behind.
Kaylee, you are on it tonight. I mean, I was watching qualifying, and even the announcers were saying where did they want him to move to? Because if he had to move, he would have been on the grass.
It's the same reason why they keep Checo but are letting Logan Sargent go.
Literally.
Delusional. Kaylee, we need to be a little bit more careful about what we say about F1 and the FIA in case we ever want to get invited to anything ever, because don't forget, they love to send a cease and desist letter.
Okay, F1, I totally didn't mean anything that I just said, and I totally love you, and I think all of your choices are made from sane, right-standing positions in regards to the rules and how things have laid out. Totally didn't cross my fingers or my toes when I was saying that.
I think we can all agree, races this week, maybe even IndyCar and NASCAR, nothing was super crazy exciting.
Except for NASCAR. NASCAR was kind of crazy.
But F1 and IndyCar this week, kind of chill, kind of expected. Race day itself, we've got Lando starting on pole, then Max, then Oscar. I think we all knew that Lando was going to lead or lose the lead going into turn 1. That's kind of his shtick.
I laughed out loud. When Max immediately took the lead.
I was watching and I was immediately thinking of Lauren is giggling right now.
I lost it.
But if we break it down, Lando had the exact same reaction time as Max. However, Max's car was able to get up to speed faster. So that's why he lost the lead. Him and Max, same reaction time. Max's car was faster on the initial start. Whatever. He has been saying he kind of works on things incrementally. So if at one point I really need to get better at my qualifying, his new thing now is I'm focusing on improving my starts. Because we know he can take pole, whatever. He does take the lead back on lap 18 and pretty much holds that for the rest of the race, aside from pit stops and those kind of switch ups. And he wins. Lando No Wins is now a 2-time race winner. I am stoked about it. I also love anyone who was trying to say that he can't win a race based on merit, that's in the garbage now. Especially after he crossed the line with the biggest gap this season, 22.896 seconds. Begs the question, because I know we've given McLaren's strategy some trash in the past. Maybe they're kind of figuring things out finally. I think my favorite moment was seeing the cool down room when Charles asks Max what the gap was between him and Lando, and then Max says it, and Charles just shakes his head, which is really just giving the vibe of like, we can't compete with this McLaren, can we? And I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a video from the pit lane where Fernando is literally like leaning over, looking under it.
Inspector Fernando.
He's like, what jet rockets did they strap to this thing?
Literally. And I love now that it went from Red Bull's cheating, their car's illegal, to now they're like, the McLaren's illegal. How can it be this good?
I know. And literally, like, Lando winning by that much, I'm like, he just literally pulled a Max Verstappen on Max Verstappen.
Oh, and then finished it off saying, simply lovely.
That was so good. That was so good.
And I know that they're friends, and they were palling around with Martin Garrix, like, on the grid, but, like, he really saw, like, a hole and said, I'm gonna twist my finger in it just to make a point.
It was great.
I think he should go by Landos now.
Ooh. Landos wins.
I like it.
On to some other winners and losers, because if you're not in first, you're a loser. Sorry.
You ain't first, you're last.
Second place, just first place for losers. So Charles, he's finally back on the podium after a car that has underperformed, to say the least. So happy for him. Glad to see him back finally. It feels like it's maybe been 2.5 years, but we persevere. As Ferrari fans, we are in it till we die. So glad to see that I'm still alive to see him on the podium again.
Hearing for the commentators be like, and Ferrari, just a wonderful strategy from them. Charles is like essentially in P2 coming out of this pit stop. I was like, and it's true, they had a great strategy, but I was like, what am I hearing? What am I seeing? Ferrari with a good strategy? They were like, wow, look at this from them. And I was like, what is happening?
It was very much like a Twilights episode. Like, I was like, this is... I don't know what parallel universe I woke up in today, but I'm not complaining.
I mean, I'll just say it in the sense of, like, I had 3 different people that I could not decide between for driver of the day.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of them.
And with him, like, holding off Oscar and, you know, passing, it really shows his skill as a driver, not the fact that he has, like, an amazing car like the McLarens and Red Bulls, because case in point, race after race, we've seen that is not true. So definitely I feel like if we all collectively have voted for Charles to be driver of the day. And then Oscar also had a phenomenal race as well. He definitely was great on the overtakes and really kind of holding his own, which, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise anymore with seeing how well he's done throughout the rest of the season. It's just encouraging to see someone who's more on the younger side, especially in F1, to sort of be making these big moves and keeping up with the top dogs and everything. And then Pierre in the points, which, you know, kind of not came out of left field because he had a good races on Sunday. But, you know, after such bad luck that he's had in the past couple races, we're all excited for him. And then Red Bull. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? This is only their second podium finish in the last 5 races, which I feel like is just such a...
embarrassment.
Yeah, that's... Yep,
yeah,
right on the money. Compared to last season, I was just thinking about this today. I was like, comparatively, the Red Bull we see today, who is she? Where did she come from? Because this was not Red Bull last season.
I don't know her.
And then they scored the same amount of points as Ferrari, and are underscoring to Mercedes and McLaren. So at this point, I feel like we can almost confidently say, actually, I don't want to say that because I don't want to jinx anything. Knock on some wood. In my opinion, I believe the Constructors' Champion is well within McLaren's grasp.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, I mean, at this point, Checo, which again, like if you're going to drop Logan Sargent, okay, let's go balls to the wall and just drop Checo too. What? He's actively losing Red Bull, the constructorship. Just slow blinks in disbelief. Get this man out of here. Speaking of Checo, diving right in onto the Checo hate train, his highest finish since Miami, which I guess good for him, whatever. But he was still behind McLaren and Ferrari, which is an embarrassment.
And Miami was so long ago.
So long ago.
The beginning of May. The beginning of May.
And it is the end of August.
Yeah.
I just want him gone. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't care what sponsorship money and what ticket sales he brings in for Austin, Mexico, and Brazil. I will pay more money for my race ticket if it means he's not on the grid.
Amen. Bring Pato in. He can, take over that area and then bring the fans back in.
Well, McLaren's not going to let Red Bull have Pato. Over their dead bodies, Zach Brown loves his copy-paste triplets.
And then the Verstappens being the Verstappens, complaining as complainers do. It's almost like their calling card is just to complain about the car and how it's not performing and how it needs to be fixed and how Max isn't happy, Yost isn't happy, Horner needs to do this, the team needs to do that. Like, we get it. You're not happy. Get over it. Build me a bridge and get over it.
Meanwhile, Toto's going to sleep in his bed at night wearing his Max Verstappen pajamas, praying for 2026. If he has any opportunity to sign Max for 2026, he will.
FP1 in Monza, Kimi Antonelli was announced that he'd be driving, and will they announce him in the Mercedes seat that weekend? Probably. And I will continue to say that Toto Wolff, for being such a smart billionaire that he is stupid to bring Kimi Antonelli up, who's 17, has had 1 year in F2, has admitted that doesn't feel like he's ready for this, to be thrown in to F1 after we've seen what just happened to Logan. I'd be like, nah, bro, I'm good. Let me drive again. It's not like he's absolutely smashing it in F2 either.
He is 18 now because you and him have the same birthday.
Oh, we do. Happy birthday to Kimmy and myself and James Blair. Birthday twins, Virgo, forever. Love it.
Before I move forward, quick last little summary on the race itself and Lando's results. He had pole, he won, nailed fastest lap, and got driver of the day. Man just came in and said, full sweep to this weekend, it's mine. I think also really wild to see is that the gap between him and Max is further closing down. It is only 70 points between the two of them. 9 races left to the season, 3 of which are sprint weekends, which means an opportunity to score extra points. I'm really stoked that Austin is going to be a sprint weekend again this year because that was so fun to watch last year. But moving forward, back towards what the heck's going to happen in Monza, Ferrari has released their special edition uniforms. And we've sent them back and forth in the group chat. I think the unanimous decision and feelings are that they are absolutely fugly, and whoever designed them should be fired. Jail, prison sentence, no rights. However, they are not nearly as fugly as the trophies for this weekend, because what the hell is that? What is it?
I really want to know where they pull these people from to design this, because did you get a cat that was living in a dumpster and just kind of scribbled in the dirt, and you're like, A trophy. Great idea. Great idea, Mr. Whiskers. And Mr. Whiskers is like feral with rabies in the corner. I could do it better with my eyes closed. And I have no artistic ability at all. Like, I should not be allowed to draw. And yet I could do better.
Yeah, I don't get it, but something now this might not be true at all, but in my brain it is, so we're just gonna go with the Ferrari delusion and let it be true. But every time in the past couple years when Ferraris had these special fugly uniforms, because they're never cute, they're always on the podium. So I'm manifesting, I don't want to say a win, because that's a little bit a lot, but at least a podium from one of them.
And then in more absolute tomfoolery, Haas is basically impounded in the Netherlands. Kim Illman also said that they were impounded. And then someone else comments that they would be leaving by noon. As of, I think, Tuesday? Yeah, as of Tuesday, nothing had arrived in Monza yet. So I guess they just booted all the cars. We're like, sorry, can't leave until you pay your dues.
Yeah, I think they put out, like, whatever breaking news thing was that Haas had, like, paid the balance that they owed to Urakali, their, like, old sponsor from when Mazepin was on the team. Wrapping up F1 and diving into IndyCar real quick, just like we said, not the craziest weekend. I know we were going into it all with our big ick, Santino Ferrucci, or as people are now calling him, Fettuccini, was on pole. And I've made this fairly clear to Lauren that he gives me the same exact ick as George Russell, and I can't explain anything else besides that. It's the same. I see him and I go, ooh.
Yeah. I agree. Except for he's a way worse person on top of that. But we won't get into that right now. Allegedly. It's all alleged.
And then sort of, I guess, going on to more lore of the weekend, Yuri Vips was in the third Rahal Letterman car for this race, but just for this race. Do we know the reason why? No. Do we really care? Also no. Will Power, he started P2, but then took the lead lap 1, turn 2. Scott Dixon absolutely crashed out lap 1, RIP. Fittipaldi might have been at fault. Was it a racing incident? Also, we don't know. All the commentators had very differing opinions.
They were fighting, like full on fighting. Hinch was like, it was his fault. And the other guy was like, it was a racing incident. And they wouldn't shut up about it. I was like, let it go, guys.
Knockdown, drag out fights. I mean, dealer's choice at this point. Pick whatever you want. And then poor Fittipaldi, he continuously got penalties. This ended up being the first of 2. And then the second one was later on in the race when he turned into Connor Daly.
Well, if the shoe fits, it sounds like it might have been his fault if he did it again. Just saying. Yeah. But back to IndyCar race weekend, no other big incidents this race. I think we need to do cricket noises for McLaren, because what the hell has happened to them since the hybrid engines were introduced? They were so good at the beginning of the season, even going into like the 500 where Pato almost had the win. And now it's like, I mean, I keep seeing like practice results and qualifying results, and double digit places is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It's like if one McLaren is succeeding, the other cannot thrive. Like the two cannot exist in the same scenario. One has to do poorly for the other to succeed.
So Will Power, basically once he overtook Fettuccini in lap 1, turn 2, he held the win. The rest had the win. He had the win, basically. He held the lead for the rest of the race. Palou came P2, and Joseph Newgarden, my favorite IndyCar driver, came P3. There was a 10-second gap between Power and Palou, and then a 23-second gap between Palou and Joseph. So big gaps out in front for the podium places. I'm further obsessed with Liz Power, Will Power's wife. I love her. She had a big health scare last year, but she seems to be doing better this year, and she's back at the track. And every time she always watches from like the pit box with the engineers, and she has her little water bottle that she twists until it's like not a water bottle anymore. And seeing her at the end of the race with her like squished up water bottle, like cheering on with the engineers, she's so cute. I love them. I love her. Also, go Marcus Armstrong, our favorite backbone, coming in with P5. It was a great race for him. He stayed out of trouble, made some good moves, and ended with a great finish. And then also, not this race, whatever last race was. Oh, St. Louis. I downloaded the Fan Amp app, and I'm obsessed with it. I have only ventured onto one of the... It's like a Discord, basically, for motorsports, and there's different creators who have different pages. And it's basically like live texting during the race with your friends that you've never met before. So I've only used it twice during the last 2 IndyCar races, and I've been on the Track Talks IndyCar page, and I love it. And I just feel like it's a bunch of girls just chatting about the race as it goes on. So I definitely recommend everyone downloading it and using it, because I thoroughly am enjoying it.
I mean, hey, little shout out to the Track Talks girls. Love you guys. Love your content. Big fans. But like, does that mean... Kaylee, do we need to get a fan amp?
I think we do. I think it's only right at this point that we join Lauren on the bandwagon. I have horrible FOMO, so I can't be left out. I have no other choice but to get the app now.
This was our last road course of the season. Now 3 races to go. So does that mean everything is ovals here on out?
Yep.
Okay, that explains so much of what I saw of that little like press conference clip where Newgarden was like, well, Pelot's not known for ovals.
Ew. I hope Pelot wins the next 3 races.
Standings after this race. Alex Pelot is on course to win the championship again. Will Power is in P2, 54 points behind him.
Yeah, once again, Joseph has won the 500, but is 3rd in the points out of the Penske drivers, with Scott McLaughlin leading again. So, and Joseph being P7 currently. So I guess the Bus Bros wasn't the problem. It seems to be a Joseph problem, a personal problem, and maybe Scott is just a more well-rounded driver than you. That's all I have to say about IndyCar.
So on to NASCAR. At the famous Daytona, race hail, praise Dale. It was really like Oprah just came out of nowhere. It was, you get a DNF, you get a DNF, you get a DNF. Everybody goes home with a DNF. Places 25 through 40 just gone. They said, we're done. Y'all take it from here. We're good. We'll hang out.
Yeah, it was rough. My driver did finish. He was the last of the finishers. So, I'm taking that as a win. But the real winner was Mr. Harrison Burton. And I hate to admit it, but I did not know who that man was. I said, who is that? And I was like, oh, maybe it's his rookie year. Nah, fam, this is his 3rd season. I was like, oops. But it maybe has to do with the fact that there are a lot more NASCAR drivers than there are F1 drivers, because like this race had 40 drivers, but there's like, I think there's 34 or 35 like regular season drivers, and then some races they have extras. So yeah, he was in last place in the point standings. But how the way the NASCAR championship works, it's the playoffs, and so if you secure a win in the season, you get a spot in the playoffs. So he went from dead last in the points to suddenly now gets to be in the fight to win the championship. Is he going to win the championship? Probably not. But he has the possibility to now. He beat Kyle Busch, which, praise the Lord, because I don't like him either, by 0.046 seconds. I don't like most of the NASCAR drivers, if you could tell.
We have very few that we actually support in NASCAR. Oops.
Yeah. It's Truex and Kyle Larson, and I...
And Ricky. Don't forget about my man Ricky. He might not have finished this race, but we'll ride or die for that man.
So, yeah, he beat Kyle Busch by 0.046 seconds, so that was another sleigh. And he had a 88% chance of making it into the playoffs, according to what was put out by Racing Insight's playoff predictor. So, super happy for him. Exciting stuff. Go Harrison Burton.
I'm going to place a $1 bet on Harrison Burton winning the playoffs just to see. Because, why not?
It's worth it at this point. Why not?
Who knows? I know you said, he's probably not going to, but could you imagine? The NASCAR playoffs winner is a guy who's won one previous race ever. And then I'm a millionaire and we can go to whatever we want.
I love it.
Perfect.
I love an underdog story. This has never changed for me. I grew up cheering for underdog teams. When I got into motorsports, I continued to choose underdog teams. So I'm so happy for him. Good on him. And then to even have the official NASCAR Instagram recognize that you are a winner by changing their Instagram bio to Harrison Burton is headed to the playoffs. I want to know his reaction when he got that notification and everyone was like, oh my gosh, NASCAR, especially because this was his first win. The man probably has never even felt this much glory in his life. And now, he's just the golden child of NASCAR.
Our last little segment that we've missed so dearly, it's back. It's better than ever. It's ickier than ever. The Ick Corner. I'll start it off. I don't think much needs to be said. Williams Racing. How dare you? Ick Corner. We made more space. We expanded it to hold all of your ickiness. James Vowles, I'm talking to you, my guy. We are done. I trusted you. I believed in you.
It's James Vowles, Williams mechanic team, specifically Logan's, and then the media marketing team.
Listen, I'm going to say it too. Alex Albon, I love you so much, but there is even a little sprinkle because this was done to you once upon a time. And even your reaction was really giving well, I don't want to upset my dad, James Vowles, so I'm just going to be happens to the best of us. Wish you luck.
You got this, I guess. Woo.
What friendship did you have with him? Because it doesn't feel like there was any.
And then on to IndyCar. Marcus Ericsson, why did you have to behave like a child? You really throwing a tantrum out here for something that was your fault, making another grown man tear up because you're out here shaming him when who have no... I judge all the time. I'll say that. I am a judgy person. I'd love to judge. If you've listened to this podcast, that's nothing new. I have no actual physical official judging power, and even I could tell that was not Maluka's fault. And then you had to come out here with your tail tucked between your legs and go, oops, my bad. I was actually at fault. Sir.
I'm so glad that Kaylee is finally standing up for David Malukas.
Taking her long enough.
Everyone needs to stop being mean to that man. He is the sweetest little pooky little angel ever. Leave him alone.
Everyone go subscribe to his YouTube channel because he's putting out vlogs, and I watched the first one and it's really good, and I'm excited for the one that drops tomorrow because it's going to have him and Will Power in it because they're friends again.
Yeah, if I have to see another one of his videos of him tearing up, I actually might just throw my phone across the floor. Just leave him be. Goodness, he does not need the fact that he was yelled at for something that wasn't his fault and then to have it plastered all over the internet, which he's chronically online, so I know he probably sees all of these.
David Malukas, we love you. Please come on the pod, please.
Literally, #1 fans over here. All right, well, we love Malukas, but someone we don't love and who is literally permanently in my Ick Corner forever until he formally apologizes to me and Scott McLaughlin is Mr. Joseph Newgarden, who is just constantly irritating me with everything that he does. He going on about, oh, the next 3 races are ovals. I'm good at ovals, you're not going to win the championship. You're in 7th. If anyone that's not Pillow is going to win it, it's going to be Will Power, which I would love. Because after him not winning a single race last season, going on to being P2 in the standings this season and has had multiple wins, slay for him. I love him. I'm not a big Pillow fan. I don't dislike Pillow, but I'm not a Pillow fan. But I would rather Pillow win than Joseph.
I guess this is goodbye for now. We love you all. I'm sure we will have lots more to say on many more topics next week, maybe even tomorrow. So come back and join us again. We love you. Bye.